Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Record Breakers. I'm Petey Rave, your man with a plan, here with me, as always, to talk music, to share music with each other, and to discuss it afterwards. We have our team. We have Brett.
Hey, everybody. I'm having way too much fun with the pre-show.
Yes. We have Patrick.
Hello, fellow kids.
And we've got Drew.
Hey.
Yeah. We're here to talk about music. And the provider of said music is the aforementioned Drew. Drew, what do you got for us this week?
Well, I brought a band that is from Chicago, Illinois that I really, really enjoy. A band I've seen a few times live. And a band that one of their founding members and one of their main songwriters and producers, Maurice White, recently passed away. And I figured it was about time to reach in and pick out a random record from Earth, Wind, and Fire, because I think I could have picked any of their records and been happy about it. So I just picked one at random. And so we're doing Raise.
Mm-hmm. We're doing Raise by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Hills in the air and praise. Fantastic album. Let's go around the horn. Patrick, what were your expectations coming into this album?
This is one of those ones where I get to say band I've heard many a song of but never listened to a record of. So I know it's R&B and funk, but played really technically cleanly. And I've heard a few of these songs before, but for an album, it was actually fairly new to me. So I had expectations that I'd probably enjoy most of it.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Well, I live in a house with a woman who is pro-funk, who plays a bass guitar, and listens to a lot of random funk, soul, 80s music of this era. Mainly a little heavier on the funk end, not as Earth, Wind, and Fiery as this. So, but it does pop in the playlist every now and then. So I get a lot of, other than my personal journeys into this genre of music, which isn't really deep, but I know enough to make my way through town. I get a more recent dose from her. I have not heard this album all the way through. I can't. There is one song that you can't get away from, no matter where you go. But no, I didn't know what else was on this album. But I going from the year that this album was released, and my knowledge of what kind of stuff this band pulls off, I knew what I was getting into, kinda.
Yeah.
The technologies that would be involved.
Yeah. Drew, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes and elements that make it?
Well, the thing about Earth, Wind, and Fire in general is they have this great mix of sort of the soul, the funk, and disco to go along with what they're doing. The songwriting is fantastic. They know how to write a catchy hook. And the thing about Earth, Wind, and Fire that I love is that their music is very much about bringing people together in a groove. It's very much, we're going to make fun music, and we're going to make music to dance to, and we're going to make music to have a good time. The times I have seen them, it was almost cartoonish. The sort of mix of crowd as far as race goes, and how little, there was, I said this on a good friend of the show, DJM, I said this on his Facebook. The thing about Maurice White and Earth, Wind, and Fire is when you listen to them, when you go to their show, there's no black, there's no white, there's no Republican, there's no Democrat, there's no nothing. It's all about the groove, and it's all about the dance, and they make
nothing.
It's all about that level of fun, right? And that's what's great. This record won a Grammy for best vocal performance by a duo or group in 1981, I believe. The best R&B vocal performance by a duo or group. So you win a Grammy, you're doing something right. This record has some amazing vocal work, some amazing vocal harmonies, and it's all underpinned by this rhythm section that just gets your feet moving. You know that's the goal from the get-go. The first song is called Let's Groove. Sort of, you have to know what's going to happen if your first song is Let's Groove. There is some crazy synth work that we can get into here as well. Did some amazing horn arrangements. Billy Myers, I believe, did most of the horn arrangements, if I remember correctly. I'm looking through the production notes here. Billy Myers did most of the horn arranging, which was absolutely fantastic. Verdine White with the bass work. It's just, from top to bottom, the musicianship was absolutely tight, absolutely stellar. And if you don't come away humming at least one or two of these songs, like, I don't know, like, what sort of music you might like, because there is something here, I think, for most people to groove on it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is for sure. Patrick, what would be the themes and elements that caught your attention about this album?
So in the late 70s and early 80s, synthesizers were finding their way, and sometimes they were abused, and sometimes they were used really well. With this, the sound that came to mind of the synth work here, I think it's probably fair to say there was some level of Herbie Hancock influence. Like, there was a lot of using like a synth to replace a bass, and it really worked. It was done really well. The musicianship is off the charts. Like, the drums on this record are like super tight, but also like really expressive and interesting underneath everything else that's going on. The vocals are really, 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 really good, especially the harmonies. The harmonies are like these massive walls of notes coming at you, and they're really, really well done. And then the horns, which are, super clean, super where they're supposed to be. And songwriting has what I call, pop sense, which is just the ability to like write something catchy that isn't that doesn't annoy the shit out of you, which can happen with pop music if it's not done well. But really good pop music, like, you want to sing along, but if you heard the song 3 times in a row, you wouldn't want to blow your brains out. And this has that in spades. Like, there's a lot of catchy stuff going on, but not ever like catchy to an annoying effect.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what would be the themes and elements that caught your attention?
Well, there's a lot going on in this album. The horn arrangements, like it's been said, are really good. But you get like strings thrown in there too. Like the disco rollover into the 80s stuff is really fun on some of the tracks. You get some. I mean, this is dance hall music, and in the best way. The disco ball was not. There was no dust upon it in this era. This was still of the era where you would go out and boogie dance. And I enjoyed the parts that reminded me of the disco era. And
it was a boogie wonderland, if you might say so.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry,
it was fun to see that, okay, disco ain't a thing and it's not marketable as like it was. Let's do something else and then have it be as successful, both critically and again, you can't go 10 feet without running into a version of one of the tracks on this album being thrown at you in the Emperor's New Groove. I mean, come on now. There are a lot of really good bass work. I mean, this album would be a whole lot less if there was not bass work. The synths that were used were less of the synths that I normally bring, where it's a guy hammering on some keys. There's synth being used for things other than just a keyboard analog that does weird noises. Because they have the great nuggets of Mr. Rogers' electric piano every now and then. Like it's the almost Steely Dan variety of electric piano that I love so much. But yeah, there's a lot of weird different things going on for an album that came out in the era that it did. And boy howdy, yeah, when we get into this, there are some things.
There's some things. There's some things to get into. There's some different sounds. There's it gets groovy and it gets funky, but it gets wild and crazy. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on?
I'm look, I know that I do the Drew thing, and I could go down, like, I love so many of these tracks, and I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Let's Groove. It starts out strong. I'm doing the record breaker thing because Let's Groove is not only it's a classic for a reason. It not only starts out the record exactly how you need to start out a record, which is if you're making a dance record, you better start people dancing. You have a song called Let's Groove, it better make people groove, and it makes you groove. I've seen Earth, Wind & Fire a couple of times, and it's usually their first two songs are Let's Groove, and when I mentioned before Boogie Wonderland, it's sort of how they start off their night, and it's Let's Groove is a great way to start that sort of night. Then we'll go into Evolution Orange for me, because hot damn does that hit you with some horns. It is why I love funk is horns accentuating music very well. And funk can do that very, very well. And I think Evolution Orange has that flavor to it, and I love that. And then I'm going to close out just making a note about, if you want to know why I love me some bass, and I love me a funky bass line. When you end this record with a song like The Changing Times, you know, like, why funk bass is awesome. And that's all I can say about that is love that track for that.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I'll also do the record breakers thing. Let's Groove. What a fucking groove that song has on it. Great bass synth kind of laying the foundation for everything. The vocals and the harmonies are basically perfect. You know, this is from a time where if you were going to be a singer or a member of a singing group, you really, really had to sing well, because that's what you did. And these guys really could. And the ladies in the band too, they're amazing vocalists. It's one of those songs you've heard a million times, and when you hear it like on the radio or something, you're like, oh, that's a cool song. But when you sit there and you really listen to it, there's so much going on, and it's so like it's very meaty, and you can really dig into it and pick out the individual parts that are going on. And then sort of two tracks that kind of fit together, Kalimba Tree and You Are a Winner. What a fucking introduction to a song. Like, that just is a great opening that has a really, really great synth line. You get little moments of heavier guitars, which you get in, like, there's these little bits of moments where you really get to hear an electric guitar in there, and it's really cool, like, just sort of in that context to hear, you know, some really cool little lick played in there. And this one is like a really, really good example of why the drums on this album are so great. The drums accent the song in such a way that, like, it's totally danceable, but it doesn't just feel like a normal 4/4 kind of dance track. It's got sort of a swing and a something different to it that you don't always get, and it's like they're so perfect on that song.
Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
We'll start with Lady Sun. There is some masterful use of wah guitar, but you can barely hear it because there's like 30 different layers on top of it, which is not a bad thing. They're just like, they found every voice instrument like guy to bang on something in the like Tri-County area to come around and be on this album. I mean, there's so much going on, and I'm kind of into that because every time I listen to it, I got to take that cheese knife and peel another layer off. And there was some cheese on this album. Don't get me wrong. There's the time is funk is timeless, but the early '80s, there's a little bit of Ches growing on this, but not in a bad way. I like it. Evolution Orange. What you've got space bass, you got horns, you got strings, you got jangle guitar. What didn't this song have? The bass is amazing, and it goes a lot of different places. But the point when I was like, I need to bring this up is when the scat started. Okay,
I was waiting for it.
I mean, I knew I had to talk about this. I mean, this goes down in history. Probably one of the only instances of scat on the Record Breakers, unless you count a few albums that Patrick brought. But no. Let's get to the real the real meat and potatoes. Let's groove. This is one of the biggest commercial hits for the band. It's certainly a hit with me. The modulated vocals, the modulated harmony, the fact that the bass synth sounds exactly to pitch and key and synth modulation as it, like, it just perfectly, the voices stop, the synth comes in. It's got my favorite variety of electric piano. It's got superfluous grunts every now and then, like somebody just really getting into it. There's even an unironic use of a cowbell. And it's like once every like 5 times through, somebody's like, oh yeah, I got to hit that cowbell. Oh, now I got to hit 2 cowbells, just to, it's the stuff where somebody's just like, what the shit? I'm on beat. Let me hit this thing. It truly makes you want to boogie down, even though the song's about banging. But it's a wonderful song, and they did really open this up with a real winner.
Most songs that are funk and or disco, if they're talking about grooving, there's a subtext of banging.
Yeah, I'm not. You're telling me that they're not going to be dancing subtext all night. That they're going to be in like loving embrace, performing coitus together.
Subtext.
Yeah, well, it's less on the nose as like a Parliament. I'm like a camel. I funk to please. It's not quite that.
Yes, not quite there.
Oh my God, Parliament Funkadelic.
Sorry, I'm like a camel, I hump to please. Then I'm like a camel, double hump to please, because they're fucking hilarious. Yes. Sorry.
God bless Parliament and Funkadelic.
Yes.
There's just so much to love about this album, so many tracks to love. Good goddamn. Let's bring it back around the horn. Patrick, what would be your conclusive thoughts about this album?
It's like we said, it's really, really good. I knew I would not hate an Earth, Wind and Fire record because they're incredibly talented, but it's really fun. It's so well executed that R&B and funk is not an easy genre to play well. And these guys execute it with like jazz precision. Like it's super perfect every time. And it's catchy and poppy enough that like you don't feel like you're listening to like a prog album where it gets a little crazy. It's poppy and fun, and you could dance to it all night if you were the sort of person that can dance, unlike me.
I thought there was subtext in there.
No.
If you were somebody unlike me who could dance all night. Sorry. Continue.
Thanks, Brett. Make fun of my musical taste all you want. And then, but it's very, very good. This is one of those ones I want to know what Squigs thinks of this, because I feel like he'll enjoy the shit out of it. Because
I bet he knows more Earth, Wind and Fire
than I do.
Then we're gonna find out that he's got like a hidden stash somewhere.
Well, like so like
of Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yes. Like there's like if Earth, Wind and Fire are like the cool black music band, because that's what they were called at their time. Then there's Chicago, who literally, like, the career is parallel lines in terms of time, and being sort of a band that threw shit tons of horns at stuff. Like, Earth, Wind, and Fire are cool in a way Chicago never could be, and have all sort of the a lot of, you know, sort of similarity in terms of the time and place they came from.
Earth, Wind,
Damn it,
or
Petey,
Fire.
stop it. I'm trying to hold myself together, and you're over there being Earth. Stop it.
Yes.
Sorry. Bring it together, Petey.
Bring it down. Serious times. Brett, what would be your conclusive thoughts?
Yeah,
on
my
this album?
thoughts: Earth, Wind, or Fire.
Yes.
I like them all. This is an act that anybody can get behind. You can it's unoffensive. Like my wife was doing expense reports listening to this album, and she can't listen to music while she's doing stuff where she has to think. This is just something that is just pleasing to the ear. The vocals are another instrument, like, and that's something that's taken for granted a lot of times, where you'll listen to some music and the vocals they stand out so much that, you know, you sort of follow it more than anything else, where the vocals are right along with the rest of the instruments, and it's done really well. Everything it hits really well. I think this is the most unoffensive album that you can put on when you're doing your taxes. But you know, I enjoyed it. You know, I think there's a cassette tape in my wife's car with some Earth, Wind, and Fire on it, and I think it's going to be getting some playtime next time in the old Volkswagen. But yeah, I don't see any reason why you should avoid this, even if you're not into this kind of music. Go F yourself, because for one, you're wrong, and two, it's a good time. And if you want just the education course of what happened to music after disco died, like did it just all come into like some crazy, you know, like early 80s in the Chicken Tastes Like Wood acts, or what happened? What came after that? This is really good. It explains what one band did to pivot and did well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great way to put it. Drew, what would be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
I brought this band for a couple of reasons. One, to sort of pay homage to the now late Maurice White. Died from complications, Parkinson's and all that, and died at the age of 74. And Earth, Wind, and Fire being his band, the band that he sang on and founded and produced and composed music for. Figured this was the best way to do it. Didn't really want to get into his solo stuff. Wanted to get into this because Earth, Wind, and Fire is something that for years, I believe, has brought joy to the world. There are bands that are great parts of musicianship because the music is great, or they have an artistic sense to them, stuff like that. And there are some bands that have been bringing joy to the world in such a fantastic way that you just wish there was more like them out there. And Earth, Wind, and Fire is one of those bands. Like I said, I've gotten to see them a few times, and they are nights that I won't forget. They were, even without all the original members, it's something that will live on. It's Earth, Wind, and Fire is something that is love and joy and
would you say
types.
They are forces of nature?
Indeed. I was going to say there's other types of love that might be subtext here that they are about, but it's
They're
just something
truly
that I think
elementals.
That's right.
there it's elementary that you listen to them. Yes. No, it's something that I think is just great.
They've got heart.
Go Planet.
Wind, water, heart. No, but it's something that I think every music fan needs to listen to, but I also think it's something that it's just joy. It's pure joy. There's no, you can't put on an Earth, Wind, and Fire record and not smile. And there needs to be more music like that. I love
You
music
could,
like that.
but
I concur.
It'd be too much effort.
Water and Heart really get like the short shrift. But
If you put on Earth, Wind, and Fire and you frown, I don't know if I want you as a friend.
that goes for I agree. It's like if you're mad at the Aquabats, if you do not smile at Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
If you're not confused why they don't use the Oxford comma in Earth, Wind, and Fire, okay.
Who's the fuck
Fair.
of Oxford comma?
It's like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yes.
That's like some crazy
Hey.
fiery tornado coming at you.
Hey, how do you know it's not? That's
It's
not what they meant.
Earth.
Hell, I don't see. I don't see it. I
Uh-huh.
don't even see an initial comma in that album cover over there. So,
Jesus.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
We need to get a hold of their copy editor.
You guys are terrible at grammar, but great at music. Well done.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That being said, that brings us down to our main event of the evening. That brings us on to our haiku reviews, where we sum it all up in some beautiful poetry. Deep, well thought out poetry. Let's see, who goes first? I'll go with you, Brett. What are your haiku?
All right. Let's appropriate another culture's poetry to talk about this. All right. The Groove and the Funk, a fabulous dance album. Perfect for this guy.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Funky R&B, polished to a perfect shine. Master's course in cool.
Mm-hmm. My haiku, it'll make you groove with an abundance of funk. Let us boogie down. Drew, what is your haiku?
Let us. What was that? Let us or
That's a syllable that he needed. So he was like, let's break this out.
Or I have lettuce.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there leafy greens that we should be aware of?
They probably were leafy greens involved, but a different kind.
They were probably not. Man, they might have been 8. Okay. Bringing the funky, making you groove all night. Rest in peace, Maurice.
Mm-hmm. And that concludes our thoughts on Earth, Wind, and Fire. The album Raise. Enjoy that. You can follow along with Record Breakers, the home game. This will be on there for you to groove to and to listen to.
Petey, I have to ask, what do we have next week?
Well, next week we're gonna have a guest. Next week we're gonna have none other than Mike Averant. You'll know him if you're a part of the Diamond Club Circle. He has been, I believe he's been on Fanny Pack before. I could be wrong.
You get your fanny pack together.
I know he's been on Chaos Buffering before, I believe, and he's been on but he hasn't been on many things. But he's been our friend for a while.
Town.
He's a man about Brooklyn, that particular town. He's a good dude. He's going to bring us an album by a very interesting group, to say the least, named Toe, in their album For Long Tomorrow.
Spell that out for everybody. Toe, like Toto?
Like TOE. Like toe. Like,
No,
like one
not
of these.
Like you hook up to your truck?
No, like one of these.
Oh, that kind of toe.
not Toto, as in the band that what blessed rains in Africa. No,
No, the ones that at the end of
That
your
did the
feetsies.
soundtrack to Dune.
Yes. Hell, you know what? I wouldn't. This group wouldn't be out of place in a new soundtrack to a new Dune.
Toe.
Yeah. But that will be next week. This is this week, and that is the end of another fantastic episode of Record Breakers. You can, of course, find us all over the internet. Patrick is at the Swagger. Brett is at HBDBBBI2IBIBBARD. Drew is at XJuicer4X. I'm at PD Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. Rebelly.net for this and other shows. youtube.com/rebellion.tv. Go check it out. I hope that next week, by the time you're listening to this, next week will be South by Southwest music, and I will be over in Patrick's current neck of the woods, enjoying South by Southwest music, and I'm gonna try to put some content up on the YouTube of me going about town and
monetizing
things.
that long form. Go Pete.
Yeah.
I will probably end up appearing in at least one of those things.
Yeah, we will maybe involve Patrick reacting to seeing K-pop live, which will be fun. That'll be a fun thing. I'm gonna drag him to K-pop night out, and it's gonna be hilarious.
You're not even dragging me. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. It sounds awesome.
Yeah. Trust me, Mamamoo are fantastic. They're gonna be awesome live. But that's it for today. Go check it out. Like, share. Until next time. Hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.
I say mama, mama, moo.
That was a very quick toodaloo.
Toodaloo.